A year after the mysterious disappearance of Melanie, her younger sister Clover returns to the site of her vanishing Clover Valley with a group of friends: Max, her ex, Megan, a self-proclaimed psychic, Abe, the driver, and Nina, Max's current girlfriend. They intend to mark the anniversary and seek closure, though Clover insists Melanie is missing, not dead. Tensions simmer among the group, especially as past relationships and personal guilt bubble to the surface. At a remote roadside diner near Clover Valley, a local mentions that people often go missing in the area. Clover shows him a video of Melanie which he eerily says looks just like Clover. Undeterred, the group presses into Clover Valley. A sudden and severe storm forces them off the road, stranding them near a strange, seemingly abandoned building. They venture inside and discover a wall of missing persons flyers, including one for Melanie with no personal details listed. Things quickly spiral into the surreal. Time loops, ghostly visions, and inexplicable phenomena begin to plague them. Clover hears what she believes is Melanie calling her name. Strange figures appear. Max's Jeep disappears only to mysteriously return. Phones stop working and underground tunnels lead them deeper into confusion and terror. The group realizes they are caught in a supernatural trap. Megan, who mocked herself for being a psychic, now senses something malevolent has taken hold of them. One by one they each begin to experience disturbing fragmented events, visions of death, memories out of sequence, and manifestations of guilt and fear. Megan in particular starts acting strangely, suggesting she feels the force more strongly than the others. The friends realize the horror is cyclical, they're dying and reliving the night over and over again. Abe is attacked. Megan disappears mysteriously after being overtaken by a force. They begin to fear they're not just lost, they're being erased. A presence stalks them, never fully seen but always felt. Clover encounters Melanie seemingly alive and begging for help, but no one trusts what they see anymore. Is it really Melanie or just another illusion created by the force? Inside a newly appeared house, Max and the others argue about what to do. Should they try to save Clover and face the entity, or leave and get help? Max insists on saving her, but the others hesitate. The group is fracturing, and as Clover is sucked deeper into the darkness, the others must choose whether to confront the nightmare or abandon each other to it. The film crescendos into an existential horror. The friends are caught in a purgatory-like loop where their worst fears replay, where reality is fractured and where escape may be impossible. The eerie Clover Valley itself seems to feed on grief, guilt, and trauma, especially Clover's unresolved pain over Melanie's disappearance. With the line between the living and the dead increasingly blurred and trust crumbling, the group begins to understand that the force may not want to kill them but trap them in an eternal replay of their worst moments. The more they fear, the stronger it grows. The story centers around a group of friends trapped in a supernatural nightmare tied to a mining disaster that destroyed their town years ago. Nina, Clover, Max, Megan, and Abe find themselves caught in a loop of terror, unable to escape a nightmarish realm where they must survive the night or become a part of it. At the start, Nina insists they're not leaving their friends behind but are going to seek help despite the dangers. The group realizes that staying put means certain doom, as they are stalked by unknown terrifying forces manifesting as clowns, masked maniacs, and other monstrous threats. They learn the town was destroyed by a mine collapse 2 decades ago, an event that buried the entire community beneath the earth and trapped souls in a ghostly purgatory. Nina and the others face brutal, repeated attempts on their lives and witness their friends dying in gruesome ways. Each death leads to a horrifying resurrection or a reset where they are forced to live the nightmare again, seemingly unable to break the cycle. One chilling message haunts them: they must survive until dawn to escape, but if they fail they become part of the cursed night themselves. As they struggle to survive, the friends discover clues about the town's tragic past, including a trauma specialist named Dr. Alan Hill, who was brought in after the mining disaster to help survivors. They find evidence linking Hill to the strange happenings and learn that his experiments might have triggered the supernatural phenomena trapping them. His presence lingers like a ghost, manipulating fear and despair to keep the victims trapped. The group's understanding grows as they uncover that the town is haunted by manifestations of extreme hunger and desperation, symbolized by the Wendigo, a mythical creature associated with insatiable appetite and monstrous transformation. The trauma from the mining disaster hasn't just trapped souls, it's physically and psychologically transforming them into something else, creatures driven by fear and hunger. Desperation drives them to drink cursed water and face transformations, including growing new teeth, signs that they are turning into Wendigos themselves. They try to find a way to fight back, debating whether brute force or knowledge, like the Bible or VHS tapes containing information, will help them escape. The constant uncertainty and unpredictability of the attacks keep their fear and hope in a fragile balance. Abe discovers a horrifying truth through a videotape left by Dr. Hill, revealing that survival depends on a terrible sacrifice. 4 can escape, but 1 must die each night to break the cycle. This cruel rule adds tension and mistrust among the friends. Clover, desperate and determined, decides to confront Dr. Hill directly, hoping he is the key to ending the nightmare and saving them all. Despite warnings and pleas from her friends, Clover agrees to meet Hill alone, not trusting that they can all survive together. This encounter turns out to be a trap. Hill uses the promise of releasing a captured sister to manipulate Clover. The situation escalates as Hill's power and the supernatural forces converge, threatening to tear the group apart. The story revolves around a group of friends trapped in a supernatural nightmare following a mining disaster that devastated their town, Clover Valley. The disaster has somehow cursed the town, trapping them in a terrifying cycle where they must survive the night or become part of the haunting darkness that plagues the place. The group Clover, Max, Megan, Nina, Abe, and Melanie face night after night of horrors that seem to punish them emotionally and physically, forcing them to confront their fears, trauma, and past mistakes. At the heart of their ordeal is Clover, a deeply troubled young woman haunted by depression, anxiety, and past suicide attempts. Her fragile mental state makes her both vulnerable and crucial to the supernatural events unfolding. The group originally hoped to find help and escape the town, but quickly learned that survival is far more complicated. The town is cursed, and each night they are hunted by various terrifying entities, including a masked psycho, a witch figure, and other monstrous manifestations that seem linked to their personal fears and guilt. The friends soon realize they are caught in a loop where they keep dying and restarting with the haunting phrase "survive the night or become a part of it" echoing ominously. Despite the repeated deaths and resets, they hold on to hope that they can break free by enduring until dawn. However, they quickly understand that surviving is not as simple as staying alive. The supernatural forces demand a sacrifice. They learn from a mysterious figure, Dr. Alan Hill, a trauma specialist involved in the original mining disaster, that one of them must die for the others to escape, underscoring the cruel nature of their predicament. Tensions rise as the friends struggle with the possibility of sacrifice. Nina, desperate and terrified, almost gives into the darkness, but the others pull her back, emphasizing their determination to survive together. The group debates the morality of their choices, with Nina grappling with the fear of dying versus the terror of living without her friends. As they search for answers and a way out, they discover clues and VHS tapes revealing the town's tragic past and Hill's experiments, which link the supernatural horrors to the psychological trauma of the survivors. One by one, members of the group begin to succumb to the horrors. Megan dies first, a painful loss that shakes the remaining friends. Despite these setbacks, the survivors refuse to give up. They realize the entities haunting them are manifestations of their own fears and insecurities, especially those of Clover. The town itself seems to feed on their trauma, warping their reality and trapping them in an endless nightmare. Each monster symbolizes a facet of their psyche: repression, despair, and self-destruction. Clover's role becomes clearer as the key to their escape. The horrors are tied to her emotional turmoil, making her both the victim and the linchpin of the curse. Dr. Hill reveals that this nightmare is a product of Clover's mind and the lingering trauma of Glory Valley, merging trauma with terror to create an unbreakable cycle. To break free, Clover must confront her fears head-on, take control of her own psyche, and fight the darkness both within and outside herself. The group's unity is tested repeatedly, with moments of betrayal, sacrifice, and raw vulnerability. Max supports Clover, encouraging her not to run away but to face what lies ahead, even as they acknowledge that the nights may never truly end. Abe and Nina also show moments of courage and despair, illustrating the human cost of their ordeal. Their emotional bonds fuel their determination to survive even when hope seems lost. As the story reaches its climax, the group ventures into the town's underground tunnels, remnants of the destroyed mining operations, hoping to find Dr. Hill and end the nightmare. They face relentless attacks from the supernatural entities, barely escaping death multiple times. In these tense moments, the friends rely on one another's strengths, finally reaching a critical turning point. Clover confronts Dr. Hill and the horrors directly. The line between reality and her psyche blurs, but she finds strength in her love for her friends and her desire to live. The friends fight through overwhelming fear and monstrous threats, culminating in a desperate bid to escape as dawn breaks. As the sun rises, the curse finally breaks, the terrifying cycle ends, and they emerge into the daylight, battered but alive. In the aftermath, the friends reflect on their ordeal. Though scarred, they realize the importance of facing trauma and supporting each other through darkness. Clover especially acknowledges the power of confronting one's demons rather than succumbing to them. The story closes with a tentative hope that the nightmare is over, but the experiences have forever changed them. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.